every pastor should go through something like that. People should pay money for that kind of schooling, so to speak, quote unquote, or training, because that's the stuff that you can't learn in a classroom.
For sure. Welcome to CLF Conversations, a Covenant Life Fellowship podcast where pastors and members of CLF explore the practical applications of the gospel in everyday life, even in the mundane. Whether you're navigating parenting, engaging with culture, or wrestling with the complexities of politics, we believe that the gospel speaks into every aspect of life. Join us for honest conversations, biblical insights, and real-life stories as we seek to live faithfully in a world that often feels chaotic. Together, we'll discover how the unchanging truth of God's Word shapes how we work, love, lead, and serve, no matter how ordinary the moment may seem. In this episode of CLF Conversations, we sit down... You can't do that. You messed me up. In this episode of CLF Conversations, we sit down with Luis Castellanos, our newest elder and the latest recruit to the Most Emails Per Week Club. We'll get to know Luis, hear about his journey to eldership, and find out if he truly knew what he was signing up for. Plus, we'll break down how elders are chosen, the biblical qualifications for the role, and why CLF believes in a team approach to eldership, because let's be honest, no one really wants to make all the big decisions alone. Well, CLF, thanks for joining us for another episode of CLF Conversations. This is episode 10. We've done 10 episodes.
Wow.
That's kind of cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, 10 episodes.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah. So you're with myself. I'm Perry. I'm the worship leader here. And then we have our...
Senior pastor, I'm Dave York.
And then we have our guest and VIP for the day.
Luis Castellanos.
Very good. So it's become a tradition where I get to unveil the title episode for today. And we have episode 10, Elder Status Unlocked.
Do you get that off of Chat GPT?
No, this is all from my head.
Wow. Okay.
Impressive.
Now I'm getting impressed. Yeah, it's good.
Right?
It's the first time I've been impressed. But
this is what I do when I drive home. This is what I get to think about.
Thinking through.
Yep.
Okay, what is the most emails of the week club?
Because you're becoming an elder.
So why does that make you the most emails of the week?
People are chatting you guys up, and
okay,
right? This is what I assume. I'm not an elder, so I'm just an outsider looking in.
Yeah, sure.
So I guess we're going to move on. All right. So Pastor Dave, can you help us out here? Why don't we just get through and start this thing off with just going over some of the biblical qualifications for eldership?
Yeah, great question. So obviously, we take our cue from 1 Timothy 3 and Titus chapter 1 on qualifications for elders. And really if you want to just summarize it, qualifications for elders are men that have exemplary Christian character, not perfect Christian character. Mm-hmm. They have an ability to teach the Word of God. They can defend sound doctrine. And the other piece is that they have a family. If they have a family, they have that family under control, and they're caring for them, leading them well, because that's a good picture of how they might lead and manage the church. And the reason for that is because God has ordained leaders to be in the church, because you have... In a sense, you have some leadership in the Godhead, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, and there's a form and flow of authority and government, and so that's how God has laid it out in the church as well as in the home.
Very good. Yep. Real simple. So then, if that's the biblical qualifications, what's kind of our process here at CLF? We put some names on a wall, kind of shoot some darts at it.
Yeah, everybody vote. Kind of give us nominations. No, we don't do any of that. Basically, what we do here is we take a long deliberate approach to choosing leaders. And one of the kind of prerequisites is we want to see people go through our theological foundations class. They absolutely have to be a member. So we've heard their testimony. We've been around them. We want them to go through our theological foundations class, which is a year long, so we can kind of train them theologically. Out of that group, as people go through that, we kind of begin to see if people have some giftedness for leadership. Some of the men would be people that are leading community groups, or they started ministries, or they're showing signs of fortitude and a mentality to lead. They have an aspiration, a desire, internal desire to lead. They love the church. And over time, we begin to invest in that on purpose. We might take them through what's called like a 1 Timothy 3 process to learn and understand more, kind of do more exploratory work on their family, get to know them a little more closely. And then generally we take, once we kind of get our thoughts that maybe this is a guy that we might have as an elder, then we're gonna theologically train them. So every elder is, we validate their character, we test their character, we also test them theologically. Every elder has that process. On our team, we have guys that are ordained within Sovereign Grace, and we have guys that we call like local elders that are just helping us serve the local church here. And so, we evaluate every one of those guys theologically. The guys that are ordained through Sovereign Grace go through a little more written exams, oral exams, and those kind of things. But what that allows us to do is we know is where guys are theologically, we know where guys are in their character and in their family, and we take a long time to do that. And then once we decide that we're going to have considered somebody, then we give our church word about that, and then we ask them for their input. And obviously, if any concerns come up, we need to address those. But as of yet, through the 20-something years, we haven't had anybody raise their hand to say, hey, I have a problem with the elder guy that you picked.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're very deliberate. I said it on Sunday, but before Luis's installation was, we were very deliberate on purpose because we believe that it's easier to put people in leadership than it is to take them out of leadership. Mm-hmm. So you want to know who's serving you on your team, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, definitely. Now at CLF, we have how many elders?
8.
8 elders. Yes. And so why 8? Why not 9? Why not 2? What's the importance of just the plurality of eldership?
Well, that's a good question. And it's a lot of debate on a variety of fronts of, do you appoint a new elder because the church needs it? Mm-hmm. Or do you appoint an elder because there's men who are qualified? Mm-hmm. And I think there's a level of both, honestly. And we've talked about that a lot as a team. So there's no biblical definition for the number. Some say whether it should be 24 elders because that's what you see gathered around the throne.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can go that far.
No limit, no cap.
Yeah, there's no limit or cap. Right. And I think in order, obviously, to have a plurality, a team, it's important to have no less than 3, just because it's easy to do that. You could do it with 2, but actually a third voice really matters. We saw that at the beginning of our church when we added Mike. That's a big part. That's a huge thing for Bill and I. Mm-hmm. So the issue for us has really become, do we have a qualified man that has a desire internally to serve in this capacity and who is qualified? Mm-hmm. Those are the kind of things that we look for. And then the other component for us, and I think it is for, I've talked to a lot of different pastors around as well, is also kind of chemistry in the team. You can have guys who are qualified, that even have a desire, but it's not a great fit. Mm-hmm. Just there's some things interpersonally, maybe they see they have some philosophy differences about how to do ministry, and you kind of have to navigate through that stuff as well. Mm-hmm. And that's why we think a deliberate approach to choosing leaders is important.
For sure. Yeah. Well, I think that's a great place to then transition here, just to, we've known Luis for years, I've known you for years. Dave's known you for even longer than I have, obviously. But there's a lot of folks out there that may not know kind of your background and your story, Luis. Can we start off with why don't we start off with just tell us a little bit about your family?
Yeah. So Amanda's my wife, and this Monday, I'm not sure when this episode will come out, but this Monday is the 24th of February. Mm-hmm. This is going to be our 18th wedding anniversary, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, really cool.
And we have 3 kids. Our oldest is Hezekiah, and he is a freshman at UVC. Our middle child is our daughter. Her name is Elena. We call her Lenny, and she is in 5th grade at UVC. And our youngest is Roman Marcus. You've probably heard people call him both names. I call him Marcus. And he is 10, and he is a 4th grader at UVC. Yeah. So that's kind of our gang.
Yeah, and they're awesome. Yep. Mm-hmm. So then just walk us through kind of what's your background? I mean, how did you even get into ministry to begin with?
Yeah. So I I became a Christian when I was 17. My mom started taking me to church earlier than that, at probably 10 or 11. And I knew all the stories. I knew all the Christian things to say and do. Very familiar with Christianity. But I would say that it was when I was 17 that the Lord saved me, rescued me from darkness, and made me his own. And very rebellious teenage years. And so April the 1st, 2001 is when God saved me. I remember where I was, what the moment was like. I came to faith then, pretty radical conversion. And and then I'm the kind of guy that just likes to not tiptoe into the pool. I just kind of jumped the deep end. And so that's kind of how my salvation story happened. I just was hungry to learn and grow and zealous and passionate for Jesus. And it was kind of a, death to life, obviously, darkness to light. 3 months after my salvation, I went on a mission trip to South Africa with a parachurch organization. I was there for a month. So, I was a Christian, April, brand new in the faith. I'm other side of the ocean 3 months later.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason,
You're right. That is the deep end.
literally.
No.
For whatever reason, the leaders in the group made me like a room leader or whatever. And so I was supposed to just essentially know where my guys were at all times and just kind of a glorified babysitter,
Yeah.
But in some ways they also asked me to just to kind of lead like a weekly, just check in with them. Hey, what are you learning? What are you seeing God do in your life? What questions do you have? And just kind of pray for them. Mm-hmm. And when I came back from that trip, it was kind of like the Lord had put that desire in my heart that was the thing that I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just care for people, teach the Bible, train men. And then providentially, the Lord just started opening opportunities and giving me opportunities and opening doors for me to do that very thing, mm-hmm. whether teaching in Sunday school or youth group. And, that desire just grew, and here we are.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. How long have you been with CLF?
I came to CLF fall of 2012.
2012. Okay.
Fall of 2012,
yep. Yeah, I even remember when you get on staff, because you were on staff here. I don't know if many people know that actually.
Yeah, so I 2012. So that probably was like 2014.
Okay,
yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep. And then you were on staff for how many years before?
2014 to late 2017 before we moved. To Seattle.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep. Very good. Yep. So then walk us through a little bit of that. I think some people may know again, but. So then you left here in 17 to go to Burien.
Yeah.
Right. So just walk us real fast through what led you to go and be part of the church in Burien.
Yeah, for sure. So long story short, we moved to Roseburg from Texas, where I was a youth pastor. I was a youth pastor there for 7 years. Came to Oregon. A couple of reasons. Our family was here. My wife's parents live here, Joe and Sherry, and so we wanted to be near the family. We had
the Gaithers.
Our oldest was born, so we wanted him to be able to be around his grandparents. But also, doing ministry in Texas is interesting because it's like everybody knows Jesus.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah,
everybody knows Jesus. Sure. They all know.
You're born into it.
Yeah, it's the Bible Belt
for sure.
And so, as much as ministry is needed there, I had a desire to really minister in a place where maybe it was a little less churched, less evangelized, and at least at that time, the Northwest seemed to be that, statistically that was the place to come and do that. And so that was kind of a plus when we came to Oregon in 2012. When we showed up here, I had a desire, I had an aspiration to pastor church. 1 Timothy 3 talks about that. It is a good thing to have that aspiration. So I aspired, but I didn't want to aspire I didn't want to be the only one who thought that I had the goods.
Yeah, for sure. Confirmation is
exactly.
awesome.
It was huge
And needed.
Yeah. And so Pastor Dave was Amanda's Bible teacher in school at UVC. And so we kind of knew that we wanted to come and check out CLF. I don't even know why, but we did the whole church shopping thing where we visited a few churches, but kind of knew that we were going to end up at CLF.
Yep.
And, the story is that I asked Dave to, I was like, can you put some eyeballs on me and either confirm that you see it too, or that y'all see it too, or deny.
Be careful for what you wish.
Exactly. Paul told Timothy to watch his life and watch your life, watch your doctrine. And that's kind of what I was asking Dave. Hey, would you just, again, is it just the pizza that I had last night, or do I really have what it takes? And so, so I just kind of said, would you? And originally, Dave said no. He was like, no way, brother. That's a different story. But the voice of wisdom, Jill
that would be part 2 of today.
The voice of wisdom, Jill York.
Said no, he'll do it. And so Dave and I started meeting weekly over tacos.
We did. And he introduced me to a Caucasian taco.
A non-Caucasian.
A non-Caucasian taco.
Yes.
That's
so,
right.
Okay. Just hold it right there. What the heck is that?
He'll tell you.
If your tacos are crunchy and they have tomatoes and lettuce, that's the wrong kind of taco.
Okay.
Brother.
Okay.
So there you go.
So
or sour cream. No
sour cream.
0.
Oh man.
What that deal?
My wife would not like
My mind was blown.
Yeah.
So we started meeting weekly at Tino's Taco Truck.
So Tino's is valid.
They're valid.
Legit.
Okay.
Legit. That's right.
Very good.
So we talk about all kind of things and ministry related. And then after that I came on staff just to kind of help take some of the administrative load of Dave's plate, so that he could kind of focus on developing leaders, caring for people, preaching. And so anyways, one of the things that a part of the agreement or whatever was that, at some point I was like, I think that Roseburg is kind of a pit stop, and that the Lord, will be sent from here. Mm-hmm. So, Dave knew that, the elder board knew that. And so in 2017, the elder board gave me the green light to really just take that year to just examine, to just explore. Yeah. Okay, Lord, is this the time? What are you doing? And so to make a long story short, in the summer of 2017, an old friend of mine just called me out of the blue to tell me that they were looking for a pastor. Mm-hmm. And I immediately tried to shut that whole thing down by saying, well, here's what if I were to plant a church tomorrow, here's my non-negotiable. Sure. And I kind of laid that out for him, and he was like, Luis, that is like literally what we've been praying for. And so I said, well, okay, maybe there's something here. And so that started kind of just a season of just candidacy with those guys.
Sure.
Visiting, those guys came down, lots of calls, lots of, just time with them. Anyways. And so at the end of that year, it seemed clear. It seemed like it was, you can ask Dave, but it seemed that after all the work we did, it seemed like it seemed right onto us and onto the Lord that I was supposed to go to Seattle.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard to describe what that feeling is like, but it wasn't an audible voice. We've said that it was like louder than that.
More than audible.
And so we went, and we were there until 2021. It was a very difficult pastorate in Seattle. That's a long story. Yeah. And we were pretty beat up by the end of that. And so we just needed a time to reset, and kind of came back down to home base, be with family, and kind of refresh, heal up.
Mm-hmm.
And
would I be wrong though to think that even just with all the hardships that you had in Burien, that in itself enhanced your ability to be able to serve in your current role here at CLF?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember sharing this story with another pastor in Sovereign Grace about a year ago. And so I'm just kind of sharing some of the difficulty of my pastorate in Burien. By the time I was done, this gentleman said to me something to the effect of, Luis, I think guys should, every pastor should go through something like that. Mm-hmm. People should pay money for that kind of schooling, so to speak, quote unquote, or training, because that's the stuff that you can't learn in a classroom.
For sure.
And like, like we learned on Sunday, there's this idea of the Lord using trials to grow us and mature us. And that was definitely true of my time in Seattle. It didn't make it any easier, but the Lord there's no wasted motion with the Lord, and he definitely had a purpose and a plan and all that. So
for sure.
Yeah, and I think too, I mean, I don't think you'd mind me sharing some of the things, but like, every young man, and I mean, I was a young guy once,
Long time ago.
Every young guy wants to go make an impact in the world. Yeah. If you love Jesus and you think you're called to preach and you want to lead a church, and you kind of want to captain your own ship, you want to go to the city and you want to do the stuff, and that's kind of where Luis was a little bit. We talked a lot about a time when he was here that he just kind of in tears, just like, man, I really want to captain my own ship, and I want to be the pastor of my own church, and I look, I'm not going to deny that's good ambition. I think that's good ambition. I think there's something in there that says, I want to lead something. But the Lord is the only one that can go after and shape the heart in the things that he thinks need to be shaped. And so Luis goes off to Burien, which is kind of at the time, Seattle is coming off this hotbed of where, Mark Driscoll was, and that whole thing had kind of gone down. But he had made a massive impact in Seattle for the gospel. So there's all these gospel works everywhere, and it's kind of the hotbed of like, the hipster Acts 29 whole model, and Luis is right in the dead center of some of that, and then it didn't go as well as maybe he thought, or what even the rest of us would have thought, but the Lord very kindly was using that hard time to shape him and cause him to love the local church more, and no matter what church he was at locally, that was going to be his home church. He's going to love it, but the Lord had to do that work, and there's only. And like we said before, God personally knows the trial for each of us that he needs to get us through. And that was one of the main ones for him. And I think it's important in his journey.
Yeah. And what's interesting, I think, too, is that we don't know the full story. So like the Lord allowed me to go through this difficult season, very painful, very hard, to grow me, but also for the good of his people. Like what happened in Seattle in that particular church needed to happen for them to kind of get, so to speak, without much, back into some health and the right direction. So now when I hear news from my old church, and they're doing really well.
Good.
And I think the Lord used the difficulty of those years to prepare them for this season that they're in.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
It's kind of one of those things that I'm like, as hard as that was for me and our family, again, the Lord uses that. So that's
really good.
Yeah, for sure. Well, all that said, we we installed you.
Somebody told me, are you going to get sworn in today?
Yeah,
sworn in.
That's right. Yeah.
Well,
I hereby solemnly swear.
The install thing to me is weird. You install a radio, right?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
So anyways.
It's a terminology that everybody's adopting.
Where's my beige jacket?
I know.
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to get you a special jacket now.
Right.
So, but anyways, you come out of this. Pastor Dave, what are some of the things that you saw within Luis that you were just like, yeah, this guy's got the tools for eldership, for our team?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, go back to even early on when he was with us, there's a desire to serve the Lord. There's a love for the gospel. There's a willingness to grow in his theology. He did a lot of things individually on his own to become very careful in his understanding of the gospel and the faith. And he's a very good preacher. All those things some things that were evident before he left. When he came back, there was time that he needed to heal. And we wanted to give him that space, and we wanted it to be a place for him to do so.
Mm-hmm. So you gave him a month.
Yeah, we gave him 6 days, and then we said, okay, get at it. No, but even when he came back up, Luis began, he kind of took some time off. Then he launched a community group. Mm-hmm. Then he got involved in CLF students. And, all of us as elders basically had seen in him and his family and other things, good leadership, very respected within the church. And it just seemed like to us, it was like, this is the right thing to do at this time. And it wasn't, it's interesting. I'm going to say this in a weird way, but if we'd have done it too soon, like earlier, right when he came back, it would almost felt like for Luis, like this is a validation for me. Like, okay, I'm not so bad. But when we did it this time, and we chose the time that we did, it was like the Lord had confirmed in us, this is the right guy for this time. Sure. And it also did some things in Luis's heart. But it wasn't a validation. Like, I needed this to, prove.
To prove.
No, it was just, now it was more he was receiving it in humility of like, wow, okay, if this is what the Lord has, great. Because he was fully prepared to continue to serve the local church without being in the role of an elder, which I think is important, because I think that guys, there's a lot of guys in the world that aspire to the office of an elder and kind of wonder, when are you going to notice my gifts to make me an elder? Mm-hmm. And they usually ask. There's other guys that are humble enough, they aspire to it. They're even getting trained in it. And when somebody comes to offer them the opportunity to be an elder, they're like, really, you think that I'm gifted to be an elder? And there's a different mentality and humility and all that. Mm-hmm. And Luis had come to that latter part. And it's like, not that he was there earlier in the other side, but it was just more of it was less of a validation for him now and more of just kind of a confirmation of some things that God was doing in us as a team and what we needed as a team. And for us, knowing our timeline of where we are as a team and what God's doing in our church with our team, it was kind of an important decision for us.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. So you mentioned where you're at with the team. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, all of our elders, with the exception of, me, Chris, and Stan, are in our 60s or 70s. Bill's in his 70s. Mm-hmm. And about 5 years ago, we just really started praying that God would help us start transitioning to a younger elder team for the sake of the next generation and the generations to come.
I need to ask Chris how he feels about not being the youngest guy on the team anymore.
Yeah, well, he's going to probably feel pretty good about that. I mean, Chris is big enough, and he takes jujitsu to kind of ward us off a little bit. But doing the little brother noogies, those days are over. Now he gets to do that with Luis. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I don't think he's felt like the youngest guy on the team, but yeah.
Is there a hazing process?
We keep that within ourselves.
Oh, that's secret stuff.
That's secret sauce that we don't let out.
Only after you're inducted.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. So that's stuff that's hidden with the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's where we were as a team. We at a point we needed a transition, and we could see it coming. And Luis was part of that process as well.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so thankfully we are using the great tool ChatGPT to get to know you a little bit here at Luis. So we're gonna have some fun, and I want you to answer these as quickly as possible. You ready?
Perfect.
So we're gonna start a countdown. We're gonna give you. Let's see how many we can get in a minute. All right, ready? And here we go. What's your go-to coffee order?
Black.
Okay. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Mexican tacos.
Exactly. What's your favorite emoji to use?
The one that's crying. The one that's laughing but crying.
What's the last thing you watched on TV?
I don't know. Probably YouTube
or
video.
YouTube. Yeah.
Probably YouTube video.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you had to sing karaoke right now, what song would you choose? Come on.
Don't stop believing.
Journey.
Absolutely. What's a random talent you have?
What's a random talent that I have?
He can dribble a soccer ball.
I can play the guitar.
You can?
I can.
I didn't know that.
I don't publicize that very much.
Wow.
Okay, next question. Would you rather have to wear socks with sandals or never wear socks again?
Never wear socks again.
Okay. If you could instantly master any skill, what would it be? Cooking. And last one, do you prefer sweet or salty snacks?
Sweet.
And we're done.
Boom.
You did pretty good. Yeah. So I need an applause button. I'll put an applause.
Chimes.
Yeah, chimes. We got. Oh, that's crickets.
Yeah, right. That's great, Perry.
Good job, Luis. Yeah. Crickets.
Wow.
There we go. All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap things up. Thanks for playing, Luis. Appreciate it. A couple of technical questions for you guys. How can we, as a church body, support and encourage our elders in their role? Number 2, how does biblical eldership impact the overall health and mission of CLF? And then number 3, what are some practical ways we can pray for our elders and their families? As always, CLF, try and stay connected. You can visit us at the web, www.clfroseburg.com. You can join us on the socials, Instagram, Facebook, and of course, we got the YouTube channel. And always, we like to see you all on Sundays at Jacoby at 10 o'clock a.m. Until next time, remember to worship, fellowship, grow, and serve. Thanks for joining us for another episode of CLF Conversations, where we grow in Christ, one conversation at a time.